What's up everybody, welcome back to my channel and thank you very much for joining me. Bienvenido a Mexico. Today's episode, guys, will be a Q&A. It's been nearly a year, I believe, since my last Q&A, and with me moving to Mexico, I've been absolutely inundated with questions. What is happening in Mexico? What's the drug situation? Is it dangerous? And a whole bunch of questions. So I've handpicked the most frequent ones, and today is the day I'm going to answer them. So without further ado, guys, let's jump straight into it. Vamos. Question number one, numero uno. Why move to Mexico? Well, as I explained in my last video, guys, it was about escaping the UK winter. It's not somewhere where I wanted to be for the next 6 months. I want to make content, and I'm in a privileged position to be able to do that. Now, apart from just the obvious of escaping the winter, Mexico, you get 180 days on arrival, so 6 months to roam. The weather's good, the culture, the food, the Spanish language, guys, and a whole other array of other reasons. To be honest with you, Mexico's a huge place, so you can move around freely. It's a big country, lots to do, lots of nature, and for me it ticks all the boxes. So that is the reason why. Next question, guys, number two. Isn't Mexico dangerous as FUK? I get asked this constantly. Some parts of Mexico, guys, are very dangerous, especially the north. The north is the most dangerous that I'm aware of. There's certain parts of like Mexico City, which I'm told are no-go, but generally speaking, guys, Mexico is very safe. I've been to 9 states in Mexico. I've not had one problem. About to go to state number 10 next week. So, guys, for example, if you go on the UK Gov website, it says to not visit like 13 states in Mexico. It says do not go there and under any reasons, essential travel only. But the thing is, guys, if you listen to the noise and the media, you're never going to leave the UK. You know, most of these countries are absolutely fine. You know, I've not had one bad experience in Mexico, and I can say that wholeheartedly. Really friendly people, always greeted, always say hello, and no issues so far. So just about being sensible, avoid the hot spots where there's obviously a lot of crime, there's muggings, and obviously murders in the north, guys, is pretty severe. So you just avoid those areas. But you know, Cancun, Playa del Carmen, Tulum, Baja California, Mexico City for the most part, Guadalajara, Guanajuato, guys, it's all absolutely fine. So I would not let that worry you. Question number 3, the fastest way to recover after a session. So after a session, we're talking drug session. So let's say you've gone on a mad one from Thursday till Sunday. On the Monday, maybe you do nothing, you try and sleep, you know, you're really hanging. But Tuesday, I would force myself back to the gym. I would be like, I would go no matter what the circumstances. Now, you're not going to have a good workout because obviously you're going to be depleted, you're tired, but I would force myself just to get back in the routine of going. That would be followed by a sauna, steam room, plunge pool, cold shower, obviously refeed on as much food as possible because you've probably not eaten for so many days, lots of water, and of course, above all else, guys, sleep. That was the fastest way I recovered, and that was something I did every single time. Hey guys, question number 4. How do I deal with drug cravings? Now, drug cravings are horrible. That is something that I experienced when I was trying to get sober, and they used to put me into terrible states. So from my experience now, guys, there's a couple of things I want to say. Let's just say your absolute goal in life now is sobriety. And that is your number 1 goal every single day when you wake. I'm going to be sober today. My goal is off that stuff now for the rest of my life. Okay, so that's the goal. The first thing I want to say is, guys, you have to stay present at all times. You need to be really focused and in tune with yourself every single day. Do not let your mind wander off, okay? And there's exercises you can do to keep you present, okay? The second thing is, guys, you need to understand your brain. So your brain will try to justify you using, it will find reasons, excuses. And I'll give you a quick example. Like for me back in the day, let's just say I had some place where I could go, where I knew I would be left alone. No one's going to bother me. I know I have disposable money. I know the drugs are there. And my brain would instantly start to put that into practice, like that's your opportunity. And it could spiral very quickly. But the second, guys, that starts to happen, you need to shut it down. Now that's just a thought. Thought becomes an urge, becomes a craving. When the cravings come and your brain is almost making you do it, like you maybe start to pick up the phone to text someone, you need to act immediately. You need to be like, no, is it? Fuck, I don't want that stuff. Put your phone away. And you need to have a strategy. Go for a walk, go for a run, go for a drive, call someone. What I used to do is, guys, I used to put my phone in an electronic safe with a code and give it to my mum. And I used to go out the house and walk until it passes. Okay, till you're thinking sensibly again. And you'll know when you're thinking sensibly again. Let's say an hour passes and you'll actually calm down and you'll be like, I feel okay now, I can go back. But the second those sorts of thoughts and cravings start to kick in, you need to act immediately. Whoa, why do I want that stuff? Put your phone away, go. Just remove yourself from that environment, that situation, and that's the best way you're going to conquer it. Now, you're going to have to go through it, and it can put you into a low mood after, as I've said many times. But you need to have a strategy in place, and if that's your absolute goal, guys, you need to act quickly. That's the only way you're going to really combat it, okay? The moment you start to dwell and you start to think about using, your brain will just justify it and you'll end up using, okay? So you need to have a plan and act immediately. Hope that helps. Okay, guys, question number 5. Do you find it hard staying sober whilst traveling? So I get asked this a lot. Guys, it's difficult, I'm not going to lie. When you're in countries like Mexico, everybody's drinking. You know, Tulum is a party hub in certain areas, certainly by the beach. As you've seen in my last video, I was offered it. And it can be a challenge, but the thing is, guys, the consequences are just not worth it. The moment I have a drink, like there's moments I walk up and down the beach and I'm like, God, I said it to my friend here, I was like, I would love to be able to sit there, have a massive Tecate, which is Mexican beer, a big 1 litre Mexican Tecate, and feel amazing. However, guys, that has massive implications for me. 1 leads to 2, 2 leads to Coke, that leads to 5 days of getting on it. It's just simply not worth it. So you need to be absolutely stable in your recovery to come to countries like Mexico, because you're going to be offered it left, right and centre. But it is hard, but you need to be in a good place to be able to deal with it. Okay, guys, so question number 6 is, did you suffer with anhedonia once you stopped using? So for anyone who doesn't know, anhedonia is the lack of to be able to feel pleasure like normal people. And this is a common consequence, or this is common for people in recovery from addiction, i.e. guys, when you're taking drugs on a regular basis, you are abusing your brain's natural reward system, i.e. the dopamine. So once you stop taking it, you need to allow time for your mind to restore. So normal things, like things you would have found pleasurable in the past, now they're not so pleasurable, and literally not pleasurable at all. So for me personally, I felt numb for about 2 years. Now, whether you can actually say that is anhedonia, but I felt numb for about 2 years, and many activities, not pleasurable at all, no excitement, social situations were just not nice. Like when everybody finds things funny, I would not laugh. I can remember that many times happening, and it's almost like you're dead, like you're emotionless. And also the lack of motivation. For me, the only thing that I liked to do was the gym, but it was a struggle to go, but I always forced myself. And guys, this is just the consequence, and it's very important for you to be aware that may happen for you. You may experience that, but in time that's going to reset. So for me now, guys, happy as day, always laughing, always smiling, everything is more, I find things now exciting, should we say, much more than I used to, and things much more pleasurable. So it's just allowing your mind and body time to restore. And ultimately, guys, that's what recovery is. So very good question, and that's from my Greek friend on Instagram. Cheers. Okay, guys, question number 7. Any plans to do a podcast? Absolutely. At some point, I've had offers. I possibly even would collab if the channel was good and there was mutually beneficial. Certainly, yeah, why not? Question number 8. Blueprint for sobriety. Well, there's no exact blueprint for sobriety. What I would say, guys, is to have a plan. Make sure you have good support. You're a part of some groups. I think it's very important to start with. I would eliminate other users in your life, certainly friends who use, give yourself the best possible chance of maintaining that sobriety. Avoid high-risk situations, so don't put yourself in high-risk situations. So any events you have, music, birthday parties, guys, get rid of them. They're going to put you in the highest risk possible. So it's about making those changes, and the ultimate thing is, guys, you need to stick to what you're doing. That is the most important thing. This is your new goal and you need to stick to it. So find what works for you and continue to keep doing it. Question number 9, staying on track for training whilst traveling. So it is quite difficult. It's not as easy as in the UK, but wherever I travel to, I make sure there is a gym, I make sure there is a supermarket, I make sure where I'm staying has a kitchen and cooking facilities, and that is the only way you're going to stay on track. If you're buying food all the time in restaurants and stuff, then that leanness that you've acquired is going to soon disappear. So I make sure those fundamentals are there before I press reserve on that hotel. Question number 10, guys. How much is the jungle gym? Is it worth visiting? So it's $30 US, and there is 2 in Tulum, 1 on the beach, 1 in the town center. The one in the town center has more equipment, so you'll probably get a better workout. But of course, the one on the beach, you're training in there, and then you can run straight in the sea. So I would do both if you can afford it. But I prefer the one in the town. But yeah, definitely worth the visit. Okay, guys, question number 11. How expensive is Mexico? So guys, Mexico and most of the other South American countries, Central American, and Mexico is North America. But most of these countries, guys, they are not as cheap as they used to be. Now, granted, there are some parts of Mexico where you can get a bargain. But on the whole, guys, it's nowhere near as cheap as what you might think. So Tulum itself, where I am, the prices for food, guys, are next level. The supermarket, there's a big supermarket here called Chedraui, and that is super expensive. It's dearer than the UK. So granted, you can get tacos on the street for like, I think it was 100 pesos, which is £4 for 5 tacos. Things like this do exist and you can get them. But if you're cooking food, like for example, a little fillet of salmon is like £8. It's mental. So it's definitely not that cheap here. Of course, we are in a tourist hotspot. But yes, if you go to other parts of Mexico, it's cheaper. But on the whole, you're still going to be spending, I would say, rent in a hotel Airbnb between 500 and 800, depending on your standard per month. You can find hostels way cheaper, but it depends on your situation, depends what you want. But on the whole, guys, it's nowhere near as cheap as what you might think. Okay, guys, question number 12. What is your current recovery routine? Well, people, I pretty much do the same thing every single day, and these things I've been doing for the last couple of years. Wake up 5, 6 a.m. I'm an early riser, definitely more productive in the mornings. Couple of coffees. I do some sort of self-reflection in the morning, which helps to keep me present, which is very important. Maybe sometimes gratitude, you know, things that I have to do for that day, write it all down. Eat a healthy breakfast, you eat lots of water. I then generally like to go to the gym and do some form of physical activity, which would be weight training is my favorite, of course. From then, guys, you know, I like to do, I also have daily habits I like to do. So I study Spanish, which is a brain training activity, which is very important when you're in recovery. Because guys, your cognitive functions after abusing drugs are not going to be at their best. So it's very important to do some sort of brain training activity, whether that's learning a new language, reading, any sort of problem solving activity really, which is going to help increase your cognitive functions. So I like to do something like that as well throughout the day. I do at least one section of Babel every single day to help keep my streak going. So that has tremendous benefits. From then, sometimes I do an evening activity, and that's it, guys. I'm in bed by 10 p.m. Back in the day, it used to be much more intense. I would do meetings and lots of recovery activities and exercises. But now I'm busy with my online work, so there's not really much need for it, and I'm in a very good place. So yeah, that's my current routine. That works for me. Find what works for you and continue to keep doing it. Question 13. How long did it take you to put things together to break out of the UK? So basically, once I had the nod that my previous job were not going to send me to Spain, because that was my original goal, I was like, right, I need to make this coaching thing happen, because I was already getting demand from YouTube for the coaching, for the one-to-ones. However, I already had my level 2 in counselling skills, but I wanted something more professional. So I was like, right, let's make this happen. I then enrolled in my level 3. I then needed to design a website. I then had to put the content together of what I was delivering to people. So it took me about a year. And basically that was alongside having a full-time job, going to the gym, studying Spanish, and doing all these other things. So I was very busy for about a year. But basically, guys, if you want to break out, as you put it, and set up your own thing, whilst working a full-time job. You have to dedicate your passion or your new adventure, and you have to do it in the evenings. There's no other choice. You need to get home, get your laptop open, do your course, set your business up, whatever it is you're doing. And that's what I did for about a year. So I was very busy, but ultimately, guys, it's paid off. It took me a year. It was expensive, stressful, busy, but it is what it is. That was the goal, guys, and now it's created me the remote lifestyle, and that's what I wanted. Okay, guys, question 14. Have you come across drugs easily there? Absolutely, guys. There's drugs, absolutely. You need to be quiet. There are drugs here everywhere. Like literally, as soon as you step out on the street, you're going to be offered it. Certainly down by the beach, as you've seen in my last video. This is kind of the culture here, guys. You're going to be offered it left, right, and center. There's going to be coke, there's going to be meth, there's going to be crack, there's going to be weed, every single thing you can think of. They actually have menus here, like food menus, and you just scroll down. It's mental. So you're going to be offered it. So if you have a drug problem, I would definitely not recommend coming here. But this is the way it is here, guys. It's very common. People sell it on the street, and that's just how it is. Okay, guys, question number 15. How do you resist temptation being in Mex? Well, at the end of the day, guys, there's going to be temptation anywhere you go in life. That's just part of life. It's just about being smart and making good decisions. Like I avoid like the beach clubs, I avoid music events because they're just simply too high risk. So it's just about being smart in your decision making. And the second thing I would say, guys, is learn to say no. People are going to offer you drugs here. It's part of life. Say no and move on, guys. And it's as simple as that, okay? So it's just about being smart in your decision making. Okay, guys, question number 16. Any plans to go back to the UK? Yes, we'll be around April time. Number 17, would you advise Mexico for people who, if they have issues? Absolutely not. I would avoid it like the plague. As I've said, you're going to be offered stuff here left, right, and center. And you can be sucked into the lifestyle very easily. Give you a quick story. I had a friend here who I met in 2022, and he came from Baja California. Long story short, guys, spent all his money, literally had nothing, and then he was just in Cancun waiting for his flight, where he just spent a lot. So you can get sucked into that life very easy. I had to buy him food, buy him water, this type of stuff, and he had like a week left of just hanging, massive come down. What have I done? I've messed my job up. And then he had to go back to Wales. So not a pretty situation. So unless you're stable, guys, do not come. Okay, guys, number 18. Are you coaching specifically for drugs? Yes, predominantly, because that's where my experience is, that's where my expertise is, and that's what I studied. So ultimately, guys, yes, it is more drug based. Number 19. My partner keeps using it and I want to stop. What should I do? It's a difficult question, and it's not really for me to answer, but deep down you probably know the answer. Now, if you're both heavily using and one of you really wants to stop, but the other one doesn't, then it's a problem. And unfortunately, you're going to kind of need to walk away. The chances of you being together and wanting to stop at the same time is quite rare. Many people I've come across, they end up going their separate ways because one wants to continue to use, the other one doesn't, and it's a really sad situation. So unless you can mutually agree to stop together, then it's probably not going to work. But obviously only you can make that call. I know it's a difficult one. Okay, guys, and the last one, number 20. Was it risky sharing your story on YouTube? It's a really good question, and I get asked this quite a lot because it is risky. Because I actually underestimated the risk factor to it, because I was working a full-time job. Now, my first story, the addiction story, didn't take off for about 4 months because you don't know how YouTube works. It's quite strange. You can post a video and you can have like 100 views for like 6 months, and all of a sudden, bang, the algorithm just sends it off. So what happened with my story is it took off after about 4 months, and I was waking up to thousands of views and comments and questions, emails, the lot. And there was people messaging me. So there was a guy I met from the States who I was traveling with, who I met in Mexico City. And he messaged me. I haven't spoken to him for like over a year. And he messaged me and said, Mark, your videos just popped up on my feed. I can't believe it. What's happening? And many people kept saying this to me from Bristol. I got recognized in Bristol on the street. And I thought, oh my God, this is a matter of time. Someone in my work is going to see this. Now, you've got to think, guys, if you're an employer and you see a video like that, or like my psychosis video, it's quite heavy, it's quite dark. Questions are probably going to be asked. So it is risky, but do you know what? I am who I am. We are where we are. It's me. That's what I went through. And I am an advocate for change. So what will be, will be. So there is a slight risk element to it. But I encourage anyone, if you have a story to tell, guys, and you want to go into this type of thing, just put it out there. As long as you're stable in your recovery and you actually have changed, then I don't see no issue with it. So anyway, guys, that's the end of the Q&A. Hope you enjoyed that. 20 questions, quick fire. Hope you've learned something. Anyone's got any other questions, hit me up. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.